Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973. LBC. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
10 to 8. Inflation, rail strikes, wars with the unions. Should we just celebrate something? And what a job. The formidable job done by the Lionesses.
Bronze keeps it going. She's done it again. Bronze with a free header. And it's in! Lucy Bronze strikes goal for England. Rousseau saved by Linda. Wow! Kirby goes for the chip. Linda can't keep it out. England waltzing to Wembley in style. More history for the Lionesses. Wembley awaits.
Commentary courtesy of the BBC. Jackie Oakley, football commentator and expert, joins me now. And I think it's worth saying, Jackie, I'm sure you're watching the game, while we are celebrating the fantastic goals going in, but for Mary Earps, and I think her left leg on the 21st second, it could have been a very different story, couldn't it? Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Nick. Wow. Yes, absolutely. Well, so many people are talking about the Alessia Russo backheel nutmeg goal for obvious reasons, because it's grabbed the attention. But absolutely, I'm so pleased that you came straight to me about the Mary Earps save, because the first one was absolutely crucial in terms of the
21 seconds in. 21 seconds
in terms of the flow of the game.
Yep.
And they actually got their tactics right, Sweden, in terms of going straight for the jugular from the off. The first 20 minutes, they were fantastic, and that save was crucial. And if you recall one a little bit later on, one that was looping over Mary Earps' head.
That was the one that she pushes over the bar.
Yes.
That was incredible.
Absolutely sensational. And as no doubt you'll know, Nick, there are plenty of people who've perhaps arrived a little bit late in terms of watching women's football who still say, well, the thing about the women's game, it's the goalkeepers. And we still get that. And so when you watch saves like that, they are not one-offs.
Oh, come on. David Seaman would have been proud of that save, no question about it. OK, the key question, I think we all know what a lot of us are going to be doing Sunday afternoon. Jackie Oakley, can they go all the way? Are they going to bring it home?
Oh, my heart is pounding at the prospect of it. I'll be there with my little girl in the crowd, and I just can't imagine what it's going to be like, whether it's against France or Germany. I predicted before the tournament an England-Germany final. Has something of a ring to it, doesn't it, at Wembley? And
it does.
It really could be either side, bearing in mind that France have some outstanding players as well. But England can do it. I think it's wrong to expect them to do it. I think home support will be an advantage. Of course it will. So many of the 90,000 odd will be supporting England. But of course, with that brings pressure. But I think the thing with this England side is they have a manager who is a winner. She won the last Euros with her home nation, the Netherlands. She got to the last World Cup final. She's got to this final as well. And she has been the real difference in terms of the mentality shift. I was commentating on the Euro 2009 final when England were thumped 6-2 by Germany in Finland. And it was a different game back then. It was a different mentality. The Germans were so much further ahead of England physically in terms of the game. But mentally as well, England had not been able to cross that big divide of being able to beat a big nation when it really mattered.
That does seem to have changed now. Jackie, I must leave it there. Enjoy the game on Sunday with your daughter. I hope it goes well. I hope you come home singing Football's Coming Home. Jackie Oakley, football commentator and expert. 6 minutes before 8. I've got to move on, Jackie, because I've got a senior member of the government waiting to tell us more, I think, about the idea of police league tables. I speak of Business Secretary Kwasi Kwarteng, a prominent supporter of Liz Truss. This is one of Ms Truss's ideas that will be outlined later today. Mr Kwarteng here to tell us more. Why will these work? What will it bring to the dynamic of cutting crime, Mr Kwarteng? Good morning.
Well, Nick, it's good to see you this morning. But the reason why I think publishing league tables actually is a good idea is because we, as government ministers and officials, see the league tables. We can see who's performing well. And I think it makes sense for the public to be able to see that too, so that they can hold people to account. They can see why their area or how their area isn't performing as well in terms of crime statistics. And I think that sort of level of competition, that level of transparency is a really good thing. I don't understand why people would argue against that, because we can see all the data as ministers and as government people, but I don't see why the public who are affected by crime can't see it as well.
Could they not be, Mr Kwarteng, seen as slightly perverse? Because if I'm Chief Constable or Commissioner of an area such as Hackney, opposing you, Chief Constable of an area such as Spelthorne, is it fair that we're judged by the same criteria? I might have a busier patch than you.
Well, Spelthorne has its own challenges. It's a fantastic place.
Of course it is.
But you're quite right
just
to
remind
say,
my listeners, it's your constituency.
Yeah, you're quite right to say that different areas will have different...
All right, I'll tell you what, Kwasi, OK, I'm policing Bromley, you're policing Hackney, and we're held to the same account? Come on.
Well, no, but what you want to be able to do as a member of the public is to actually see how your force is performing. No one's saying that this one will be worse than another. What we are saying is that the badly performing areas could do better, and over time they will do better. Just as if you're a parent, you can see how well schools are performing. I think if you're a member of the public, you should be able to see how well police authorities are performing as well.
Mr Sunak, of course, who was opposing Ms Truss, says it's a bit of a rehashed or reheated Conservative plan. The real key is, as he would obviously say, his solution, to fund 20,000 new officers on the beat by the next general election. Secretary of State.
I don't see why Rishi Sunak is opposed to transparency. I think in all other walks of life, we expect to be able to see how well services that are being provided to us, how well they're performing. And I think this is a really good idea of being able to show the public what actually is happening in policing in their area. And they can then see over time whether things are getting better or whether things are getting worse. And from that sort of information, you can make better decisions about things like, police and crime commissioners, and also you can hold people to account much better with transparency, with being able to see the data.
Well, I have you on. I've got to talk to you about other issues between the two candidates. I won't call it a warfare. It's an exchange of ideas. It's an exchange of ideas. Right. And I see that Mr Sunak is now suggesting he will ditch VAT on energy bills. He's trying to bring about tax cuts, something your candidate has been talking about since the firing pistol was shot.
Yes, she's been very clear that tax cuts are the way to re-energise our economy and also to incentivise people. He said that tax cuts were, I think, a fairy tale. That was the word he used. He also implied that he was the grown-up because he was simply going to continue the status quo of increasing taxes. Belatedly, I'm very happy to see that he's changed his mind and that the VAT cut that he's proposing today was the very cut that he opposed when he was Chancellor only 3 weeks ago. I mean, we've got to remember that he was in office until about 3 weeks ago, and he was 2.5 years in that job where he didn't think it was right to cut VAT on energy bills. In fact, earlier this year, he was in the House of Commons. I was with him. I was there sitting on the bench. And he said that this was the wrong tax cut because it would disproportionately favour richer households. Pleased to say that he wants to cut taxes now. Pleased to say that he's changed his mind. But I'm backing a candidate that was much more consistent on this big question of whether we can incentivise the economy by reducing people's tax burden.
We're talking on a day you won't need reminding. We have another rail strike, reminding the listeners, of course, your brief is business, energy and industrial strategy, and we have a prominent union leader, Mick Lynch, RMT, saying this is now a Conservative war on the workers. How would you respond to Mr. Lynch's
I don't think that's true at all. I think if anyone is waging war on workers, it's the unions, it's the rail unions who are essentially preventing people from getting to work.
Are they trying to get their members a fair pay deal, Mr. Kwarteng?
Well, a lot of them already do have very respectable pay. Obviously, we don't condone strikes that are going to harm ordinary commuters. And it's a real hassle, real inconvenience for people trying to get to work, just earning a normal living.
But when the person you're supporting talks about tough and decisive action to limit trade unions' ability to paralyse our economy, that's going to be seen as throwing down the gauntlet. That's almost a declaration.
Well, it's not a war. It's not a war, Nick. I mean, all the proposal said is that we have to have a 50% threshold as opposed to a 40% one. I think what Liz Truss is talking about, I think many people support. They don't want to have their daily commute held at the mercy of unions.
Just before I let you go, next time we speak, will you be Chancellor, Kwarteng? Will I be addressing you as the Exchequer?
I'm not. We haven't had any conversations. It's going to be a very keenly fought, balanced and difficult contest. I'm very hopeful that Liz will make it, but no one's cutting any deals or talking about jobs now. We've got to just get over the line first.
And why would it be Liz Truss who would win the next general election?
I think Liz has got a very wide appeal. She's a politician that many people don't know. She did extremely well in the debates earlier this week. Many people were looking at her for the first time. And she just had a fresh, optimistic, dynamic approach, talking about wealth creation, talking about reducing people's tax burden, talking about investing in this country. And I think it's a really exciting offer. And I'm very convinced, in fact, that she will win a general election.
Mr. Sunak wouldn't win.
Well, I think I'd back Rishi. I think he's a very capable politician. He has flip-flopped and U-turned on this tax issue, which I find somewhat concerning. But he's a capable politician and very likeable chap.
Always enjoy speaking to you. Thank you for your time. Kwasi Kwarteng is Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, being here on LBC 1 minute after 8. The news is next.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.